guys, welcome back to the channel where I cover missing persons, unsolved cases, crime news, and more. So Yolanda Saldivar has officially filed for parole. As if we didn't think she was going to do that. So again, just to remind you guys, she was sentenced to life in prison. October 26, 1995 was the date that she was found guilty and sentenced. She has the possibility of parole after 30 years, and she is currently housed in Gatesville, Texas at the Patrick L. O'Daniel Unit Prison. Yeah, so she still, after all these years, she still claims there is quote-unquote more to the story, and that the gun accidentally went off. It just seems to me she has no remorse. She has zero emotion. And I feel like she's very sick in the head. And as some of y'all said in the comments of the previous video, she's better off behind bars. Let's be honest here, guys. She murdered Selena Quintanilla Perez. She murdered this bright, shining light of a human. And she did it because she was obsessed with her. I mean, it's very clear cut. I mean, she embezzled money. She was obsessed. And her story hasn't changed since 1995.
But Saldivar insists it was all a tragic accident. A story she still stands by today. What happened that morning when Selena arrived? Did she say she wanted to fire you?
Never. She never told me that. I was telling her to leave. And I said, it's over, Selena. It's over. I can't work for you no more. I can't work for you no more. She went down. She grabbed my feet and told me not to leave her. And I picked her up and I told her, just leave. And I grabbed the gun, put it to my head. I pulled the thing back. And I said, if you don't leave, I'm going to do it, Selena. And she got up and she says, Mom, we need to talk about this. We need to talk about this. I'm going to close the door. And when she was walking to the door, she was going at an angle. And I told her, don't close the door. And in that instant, the gun went off.
First off, she alleges that Selena called her mom. I don't believe that for a second. She had great parents, her father and her mother and her whole family, Selena's family, very, very, very close. And she was very close with Yolanda, but she did not call her mom. I don't believe that at all. And this whole cockamamie story that she throws out here at the 2020 interview. Oh, I put the gun to my head. Well, first off, she goes in and says she bent down to my feet and begged me. Selena did not beg you. The only thing she may have done is tell you not to hurt yourself. There was none of that. This is all, in my opinion, this is all a fantasy, the way things Yolanda believes they happened. She's made this up in her head. And like I said, she still is telling this tall tale, this made up movie or film that's just not the true factual story from what happened that day.
But why didn't it hit you?
Because I was pointing to the door, and it just went.
Did you know she was hit?
No, I did not know.
There was blood along the door seal.
I didn't even look at the door.
But there was blood all over the room. How could you not see it?
The pictures that I see, they're dots.
Saldivar left the blood-spattered room and headed to her car with the gun still in her hand.
Count the lies, guys. Let's count the lies. Deception from Yolanda. She shot Selena on purpose. It wasn't about her pointing to the door, don't close the door. What happened in there, I believe, we don't know, because only two people know the truth. Well, two people and God, okay, know what happened in that motel room. One is dead and one's in prison for killing her. Selena told her she could not associate with her anymore. She no longer worked for the company. Abraham had already fired her previously. She told her she would have to separate from her. And Yolanda went crazy. She couldn't imagine. She could not imagine not being able to be around this person that she idolized. And because of that, that's why she shot Selena. That's exactly why she did it.
She said she was looking for Selena. The next 9 hours became a standoff with police. Saldivar sat in her car, gun to her head, negotiating into the night before finally giving herself up. Many people have wondered that if you were really trying to kill yourself, why didn't you commit suicide when you were in the car all those 9.5 hours?
There were many things going through my mind. I could hear her in my mind telling me, stay behind. Stay behind. I hear her tell me, you don't commit suicide because I'll never see you in heaven.
Jurors didn't believe Saldivar.
And nobody else does either. Well, she has a small camp. Her family and maybe a handful of people that seem to believe her psychotic issues, her story. The fact remains she killed Selena because if she couldn't have Selena in her world, nobody else could either. That's exactly why she did it. And her sitting in her truck and, oh, well, Selena came to me and she told me not to do it. What a crock of crap, Yolanda. Okay? And as much as a lot of folks would have probably liked to see you do the self-harm situation, I gotta be careful here on YouTube, you guys, with that. In a lot of ways, with you being behind bars, that's more of a hell than anything, I think.
It took them less than 3 hours to convict her. Prosecutor Valdez insists there was no evidence of an accidental shooting.
This was a simple case of cold-blooded murder. There was an intent involved, and she did exactly what she set out to do.
Despite all the evidence against her, Saldivar gives a strikingly different account of the shooting and the weeks that led up to it, contradicting witnesses and the Quintanilla family. Did you steal any money from Selena's business?
No, ma'am. Not ever.
Can you tell me if you were angry? Frustrated?
No, I was never angry. I was never frustrated.
Quintanilla, now living with the silence of his daughter's empty recording studio, says his documents prove that Saldivar embezzled more than $100,000 from Selena. He also says he was increasingly bothered by Saldivar's possessiveness toward his daughter.
And I did start noticing an obsession with Selena. In my opinion, she was living a life through Selena. Here you have a person that's nowhere in life. Right before she killed Selena, I found out that she was stalking Selena by phone.
There were allegations that you were in love with her.
And that's not true either. And if people think that Selena and I had a lesbian relationship, you're not a fan of Selena.
Whoa, 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 whoa. I don't think that's what people are saying, Yolanda. I think they're stating that you were stalking her, you were infatuated with her. And just like Abraham, her father said, you wanted to be Selena. Everything that you wanted was about Selena. Because Selena cared for you. She did. And she missed a lot of red flags. But her love for her friends like you is nothing like her love for her husband, Chris Perez. Nothing. It's not the same thing at all.
Why did you decide you needed a gun?
It was after threats had been made against my life.
Who threatened you?
Her father.
Abraham Quintanilla threatened you.
Yes.
Quintanilla insists he never threatened Saldivar. He's convinced that she bought the gun to kill Selena.
She saw me as the person who initiated this. She saw me as the enemy. How much more could she hurt us than killing Selena?
Is there any way Selena or her family could have seen this kind of a death coming?
No.
No tips, no clues.
No.
Forensic psychologist Dr. Reed Malloy, though he never examined Saldivar, we asked him to take a look at our interview with her for any hints of obsessive homicidal behavior. He says the strongest clue is that she brought a gun to the final meeting.
Why is there a loaded gun there when perhaps there's a job termination? And two, why does she put the gun to her head in order to end the relationship? Those two are strikingly abnormal and are usually absent in any kind of relationship ending.
Dr. Malloy says Saldivar appears to fit a pattern of an obsessive personality. We ask him about her claim that it was she who was ending the relationship instead of Selena.
I told her no, that it was over.
Now, Yolanda is describing here the exact opposite of what Selena's family has described.
Yes, sometimes there's a reversal in these cases of roles. And what we may be seeing here is the person that's about to be abandoned, in order to understand it or justify it in her own mind, becomes the person in the position of doing the abandoning.
So her version turns everything around.
Exactly, the roles shift and the roles alter, and we have tragedy.
He was particularly struck by Saldivar's answer to our next question. If you could go back and do something differently on that morning of March 31st, what would you do?
I would want her to kill me.
Wow. She would have wanted Selena to kill her. The only thing I could think of, and it's been years since I've seen this interview, guys, so I don't know exactly what the doctor stated. But my guess is if she couldn't remove Selena from the world and nobody can have Selena, if she couldn't have Selena, she didn't want to be in this world without Selena in hers, if that makes sense. So let's see what the doctor, the expert, has to say.
Loy says that's an indication that Saldivar expected one of them to die that day.
Instead of her saying, I wish we were both safe and nothing had happened, instead she has to direct the aggression toward herself rather than Selena.
So you think that it appears that she was considering suicide here?
I think so. I think so. That's why these situations are extremely dangerous and unpredictable, because that homicidal impulse is shifting rapidly between the wish to kill the self and the wish to kill the other.
And there were just seconds there to determine who was going to die.
Perhaps even less than that.
Throughout our interview, Saldivar kept referring to a mysterious deep secret that she shares with Selena. She says they even talked about it on the day of the murder. You talked about a secret, that you're protecting a secret.
That's true.
What secret?
I can't indulge that at this point because my case is in appeal. But I know that one day people will know.
Let's stop it there. I don't know if there's a secret, but I do know that by her saying she has a secret, she maintains a special, exclusive relationship with Selena that nobody else has.
Even now?
Even now.
There is no secret. There's none. She's trying to hold some sort of power over the family, over the fans, that she knows something that only her and Selena knew. It's garbage. It's complete garbage.
Yolanda, whether it was accidental or whether it was intentional, you were responsible for Selena's death. How do you live with that?
It was an accident. I'm dead inside. I have no feelings. I'm like a walking shell. Selena will always be a daughter for me. She will always be that gentle child I never had. And I thank her for it.
There's a link to Selena now that nobody can devalue nor remove. You know, through one act, she has now established a notoriety that will remain, and her name will be linked to Selena's memory. And that, for her, in a sense, reestablishes that special fantasy.
I agree with this doctor completely. She has this association now forever with Selena Quintanilla. And I think that makes her feel powerful or some sort of special. But there's just no remorse, or besides, oh, I'm a shell of myself. But there's just no remorse for murdering her alleged best friend. There's no remorse for that. And she maintains that almost 30 years later. All right, and this interview is from 1998.
You understand the loss of her to her fans.
It's tremendous. And not only to them, but to me.
But they want to know why you killed her.
I won't discuss that.
Why not?
Because the truth is not out.
So tell it.
Not in a court of law.
You've had your day in court. Why didn't you tell it then?
I was not given an opportunity to defend myself. I was represented, which is different.
Yolanda, at that time, your life depended on it. If there is this information that, if it doesn't exonerate you, at least gives context as to why Selena Quintanilla is dead, why would you not have demanded that that be presented in court to spare your life?
If I knew then what I know now, you can rest assured that my trial wouldn't have gone the way it is.
She has excuses. I wasn't allowed to defend myself properly. And like the interviewer stating to her, this was your trial. This was a trial for your life, your freedom. And you're stating, oh, I didn't get to properly defend myself. No. You had representation, Yolanda. And the truth came out. And you just can't accept it. You can't go through and try to better yourself in some possible way, seek forgiveness. She's again, this is 3 years later, and she didn't have it then.
Whether it was, I can assure you that.
During the course of a 2-hour interview, Yolanda was continually evasive, bolstering the public image that she's clever, cunning, and manipulative. While her conviction is on appeal, Yolanda's reluctance to answer certain questions is understandable. But then, as the interview continues, she jumps at an opportunity to supposedly tell all.
This is a letter that your family has said you received here in prison. Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Behind the Music was given 2 letters by the Saldivar family prior to this interview. They are allegedly from a man named Lorenzo Salinas, who Yolanda says she and Selena met while doing business in Mexico in early '95. The Texas Department of Corrections confirms the letters were mailed from outside the prison. But during an exhaustive 7-month investigation, Behind the Music was unable to find Lorenzo Salinas or confirm his existence.
He tells me exactly what I've been saying all along.
Which is what?
That he feels his conscience is killing him because he knows the truth. And he knows that he feels that, or he thinks.
Look at that smug smile on her face. She made up this person. This is a made up person in Yolanda's sick head. This person does not exist except in Yolanda's little world.
That I have things that will eventually say it all. And
Do you?
yes.
Yolanda claims that 2 weeks prior to the murder, she discovered videotapes damaging to Selena's career, and that she had a diary of Selena's that corroborated information on the tapes. In his purported letter, Lorenzo Salinas claims he was hired to beat up Yolanda to retrieve the tapes and diary as part of a plot to extort Selena. Yolanda claims she was attacked, but managed to get away.
You know where those tapes are now.
Exactly.
You know where that diary is now.
I know where they're at.
Yolanda contends they remain where she stashed them in a safe deposit box in Monterrey, Mexico.
Why is that information significant to the death of Selena Quintanilla?
Because that is many of the things that were discussed that day.
Listen to her stuttering over it. Because that's many things that we did. No. A, doesn't exist. And B, none of this was a discussion. There were no videos or any of the such that happened. Now, she did tell Selena that she was beaten up, she was attacked. But I think this creation of this individual and this whole story, it was created out of that. And it's fiction, pure fiction.
It was not about the embezzlement. It was not about no obsessed fan or being fired. It had nothing to do with that.
What Yolanda won't explain is why, if she was protecting Selena, she instead killed her.
Yolanda's state of mind is an issue in this case.
San Antonio attorney Ramiro Estrada has been retained by the Saldivar family. He says while the information in Mexico may not exonerate Yolanda, it will somehow shed light on her state of mind in the days leading up to the murder. Estrada hopes the alleged evidence will open the door for a second trial and a reduced sentence.
I think Yolanda knows that she needs this information to be found.
Yolanda empowered Estrada to retrieve the supposed evidence, and behind the music accompanied him to Monterrey, Mexico.
Isn't there a chance, maybe even a pretty good chance, that Yolanda's lying to us about this evidence?
Well, I think anything's possible, but it would serve no purpose. It would not help her to be perpetrating a lie.
Yolanda and the Saldivar family directed Estrada to more than a half dozen different bank locations.
I don't see what good it would do for her to be sending us on a wild goose chase. I mean, it's certainly not going to help her in the trial.
But a wild goose chase it proved to be. There was no safe deposit box, no tape, no diary.
What a shock, huh? Didn't exist. They couldn't find it anywhere. What a shock, huh, Yolanda?
No evidence.
You're disappointed that this evidence hasn't been found.
Sure I am.
Following the trip, Estrada revealed he intends to remove himself from Yolanda's case. Whether the extortion plot, videotapes, and diary are fact or Yolanda's fiction remains unknown, and may never be known, as Yolanda reveals in one smug answer.
I guess I'll take it to my grave.
So he removed himself from the case. Smart guy. Oh, I guess I'll take it to my grave. Looks like you're going to take a lot of crap to your grave, little Yolanda. Because all of this is fiction. You're trying to keep yourself looking better than you are, for one. And two, I think she's also trying to keep relevant. It's just something about... she just has to be important. And the fact that she can still keep talking about the reason why she, quote-unquote, accidentally shot Selena and didn't know it, and that there's secrets and plots, I mean, that just fuels her fire.
San Antonio, Yolanda Saldivar, a 31-year-old nurse who frankly didn't like Tejano music until she saw Selena perform, started a fan club.
You're in your early 30s, you have a career as a nurse. Fan clubs are usually for people who are a lot younger. What was compelling you to do it?
Going through my college years, I had no social life. I had none because I devoted myself through my university, my career, my license. Now it was time for me to have fun.
So tell me about your first meeting.
I was like meeting Whitney Houston.
At first, they don't see each other often, essentially only when Selena plays San Antonio.
I was their gopher, so to speak, in San Antonio.
But you loved it.
Yes.
There was a touch of celebrity
Well, actually,
in San Antonio, Texas.
well, not only that, but it was because my friends. It was Suzette and it was Selena. I did it for them.
But you had to have enjoyed the fact that your friends were becoming such celebrities.
Well, that too.
At one time, my whole family liked Yolanda. You know, we would invite her to come eat at our house. You know, we'd have a get-togethers and we'd invite her.
It was that our friendship had grown from being just a fan celebrity type to this personal type of relationship.
When Selena made the decision to open up the boutiques, she needed someone to run them. And there was Yolanda, her trusted friend who would never let her down, who was always there for her.
And I'm the one that suggested, well, what about that girl that runs the fan club in San Antonio? She looks pretty, like a nice person. And that's how Yolanda came into the picture.
It was then that she hired me in '94.
Even though you had no business experience.
Even though I had no business experience, no.
She didn't know anything about retail, and that's basically, come on, you need Retail 101 to manage a retail space.
And I think that that's where things started unraveling.
Both Martin Gomez and Yolanda agree that from the very beginning they are at each other's throat, not just about business, but over access to Selena. Gomez contends the stage was being set for Selena to be deceived and controlled by an obsessive Yolanda.
She's made it very clear to me that in order for me to speak to her, to speak to Selena, I have to go by her.
She wanted complete control over Selena. Obviously, she couldn't do that with her father and her family, but with others she could. There's stories from the boutique and spas. And when you hear Abraham explain that he's the one who suggested Yolanda to do this work, to put her in charge, you know that's something he probably regrets to this day.
He started seeing that his contact with Selena was becoming less and less.
Martin says that the reason his time was less and less is because you were becoming obsessed with Selena.
That's not true.
Yolanda derived her popularity with people because of her association with Selena. And if anyone else was going to get closer to to Selena or get her ear, that was a threat to Yolanda. And by virtue of being the creator of these designs, Martin Gomez was a threat.
By now, Gomez says Yolanda was trying to wrest control of Selena's life.
It was neurotic. It was neurotic and it was strange. Fanatical. Selena would come to visit and then she'd leave and she goes, "Oh, I miss her." I go, "She just left."
She didn't want to be bothered. Martin can understand that.
So you're assuming a bigger role.
Definitely.
Could that role be construed as becoming obsessed?
I don't know where people are getting this, that I'm obsessed with Selena.
You had a shrine, pretty much, in your apartment to her? You're trying to be the one that's controlling Selena when you are working with her business, her boutiques and such, but her fan club, but you didn't control her record deals, her music, and you just wanted everything to be about you and Selena and no one else.
I don't know where people are getting this, that I'm obsessed with Selena. It was a duty that she expected me to do, and I had to do it.
I was starting to recognize her just basically being controlling and trying to manipulate Selena. I was starting to, I was trying to identify that, and more than anything, I was going to Abraham with the information.
See, you got to understand that Martin and Yolanda are like two old women bickering at each other.
While that bickering must certainly be wearing on Selena, Abraham stays clear of it and had no problem with Yolanda until the beginning of 1995.
Is that the beginning of the end of your relationship with Abraham?
That becomes the fury of it all.
That fury is about to spill over.
You have vilified Dr. Martinez, Abraham Quintanilla. Why weren't those the people that were attacked? Why your best friend?
There was never an intentional to kill Selena. Never. There was never an intentional to do anything wrong to Abraham either, or Dr. Martinez. My intention was to relieve myself from all of that.
You were going to kill yourself?
Yes.
I think she threatened Selena with that. And again, she's the one that brought the gun to their meeting. Selena was coming to get files. Yolanda was dragging her along after she was discovered embezzling and stealing from Selena, the family and her fans. And Yolanda knew that one, or if not both of them, were not going to leave that room alive.
But why did you end up killing your best friend?
I didn't kill her.
That answer, I didn't kill her? Then who did, Yolanda? Who's the one that had the gun in her hand, who was obsessed? And who's the one who was threatening? It was you. Yolanda Saldivar murdered Selena all by herself. Everyone can see it except for her. I hate to go into the whole mental health, mental wellness area, but let me say this. A lot of people, myself included, deal with depression, anxiety, other mental health issues. But guess what? We don't go out and murder our alleged best friend. So, while I do believe Yolanda has some issues in her head, she just wants to feel important. She wants to feel like this horrific murder happened in another way. It happened in a way that she's decided to go back in time in her own mind and change it. And that, since 1995, she's regurgitated this tale, this script she's created for herself in all her interviews. There's no secrets. There's no that Selena called her mom. None of this stuff that Selena begged her at her feet. None of these things happened. They are in her own mind, and she just can't come to terms with the fact that she murdered Selena. And if we're looking at it now in 2025, if she still can't admit that, and she wants to come out on parole, she hasn't learned a damn thing. She's not changed herself. I mean, she can have the cleanest prison record possible. It could be the cleanest slate. She could be washing dishes, keeping up her bunk, all that other crap that they do behind bars. But that doesn't count for everything that the parole board would hear out for her. And not to mention, apparently she does still have threats against her life behind bars. And I believe it would only increase if she were to get parole. That said, I doubt she will even have a chance this first time around. I think you're looking at another Susan Smith situation, whereas this is their first opportunity to say, hey, I want to get free. I want to go out and live out in the world. But the parole board, I don't think it's very likely that they're going to sign off on it. Of course, we all need to continue to pray and hope that they don't. But again, it's in their hands. They are already reviewing documents, from what I understand. And I don't know if the Quintanilla family has submitted letters yet. I'm assuming they probably have. And of course, I'm sure they're going to speak at this parole hearing in March. But again, she took Selena's life. She continues to lie and deceive herself and the world. And she just doesn't deserve anything but to continue living behind bars. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. And with that said, I hope you have a great rest of the day. And most of all, stay safe.